guys, it's Faye from Solar Flow and I'm back with another video. Today's topic, trauma. How do we release trauma? How do we perhaps even reframe trauma? And how do we allow our stories to be our greatest strengths? So if this sounds good to you, please stick around, and if not, I will catch you at another video. So, trauma. I don't need to explain what trauma is, because to be alive is to have experienced trauma. But I will do a little brief behind the veil explanation of what trauma is, in case you have not seen my previous videos that could perhaps give you some insight into this topic, such as the reincarnation video, as well as my video on sickness and disease. So basically, when we agree to come here, we are agreeing to come into many incarnations. And one of the reasons for that is that we are veiled when we come here, right? Our memory of who we are and why we are here has been wiped. And because of that, our actions are creating energetic reverberations that go out into the world. So imagine like if you throw a pebble into water, it creates rings around it. And those rings are energetic reverberations. Not all energetic reverberations are bad. Of course not. We do good things too. We have free will. But the energetic reverberations that do need to be righted can show up as hardships in a particular incarnation, right? And the reason for that is that in order for us to get out of the reincarnation loop, we need to A, stop creating new energetic reverberations, but B, we also have to allow for a energetic balancing of past deeds. They can then, for example, show up in our current incarnation as traumas, as hardships, as things that we perceive as having been done to us. And if we perhaps are not given tools or a way to reframe it, can really mess with us. So that's what this video is about today. So the first thing that we can do, the very first thing, now that we've actually even discussed why we may have hard experiences in our life, one way to reframe that is to understand it is an energetic balancing of something that was done in a previous life. So anything that happens to us is actually happening for us, right? So it could be because we want to clear the slate so that we can get out of the reincarnation loop and we can ascend and don't come back here again. It could also be that as our souls begin to evolve, we understand why we're here. We may say, I want to get out of here sooner. So we will agree or sign up in a particular incarnation to have a harder go at things because it allows us to get out of the reincarnation loop sooner. So all of the things that we are perceiving as happening to us are actually happening for us. So it's either something that we have agreed to experience, our soul wanted to have this experience in this incarnation, or it's happening because we are clearing our karma, for lack of a better word, or really we are balancing the energetic reverberations so we can go. So just on a strictly like behind the veil interpretation, that's what it is. You know, nothing is happening to us, or nothing is happening to us, a better way of looking at it would be without our consent, right? We either consent to clear it so we can ascend, or we consented to experience it for the experience of it. But we are not hapless victims of our life. We are not like balls in a pinball machine just getting knocked around, just being thrown here and being thrown there. Like, we actually have had a lot more power and control over our experiences than perhaps we have understood. Now, Here's another way of looking at it. If let's say we don't want to deal with the behind the veil interpretation, but we want to understand like practically, Faye, I've had a hard life. How do I transcend this? And I'm not saying that, like saying it that way to try to be cute. There's a number of things that we can do. The first one is we can Marie Kondo our trauma. What do I mean by Marie Kondo our trauma? So I don't know if you guys remember, a few years ago there was a show on Netflix which was inspired by this woman Marie Kondo's book. And in her book she talked about when you're cleaning out your closet or your kitchen or your house or your whatever, you're only keeping things that spark joy. Because really, why hold on to anything that it's not sparking joy, right? So what if we can reframe our trauma where we are only going to keep the energy associated with trauma that in some way sparks joy? And what I mean by that is, now that we're on the other side of an experience, can we see it with different eyes? Can we experience it through a different lens where we understand this was a bad thing that happened. This was a really hard thing that I endured. But now having gone through it, I understand because I'm on the other side of it. I understand why it happened to me. And what are the potential positive side effects that you had experienced because of it? There's other ways of looking at it as well, which is, let's say you had a trip planned to Saint-Tropez, and for whatever reason, your layover wasn't in, I don't travel a lot, so I'm just gonna throw things out there to make it sound exotic and exciting. Your layover was gonna be in Greece, but there was storms or something, and your layover was like in like Russia, and then you had to switch airports or something, and you got on a train and you ended up going to like Siberia. I have to make this really, really dramatic, so forgive me while I make it sound extreme, but sometimes life actually derails our plans and they are this extreme, right? Okay. Now you had packed all of this cute stuff, all of this cute clothing for your trip to Saint-Tropez that didn't happen. You never made it there in the end. You only went home after you were in Siberia. Now you're pissed. You get home and you're so pissed that you don't even want to unpack your suitcase and look at all the cute things that you were planning on wearing to all of these cute places. You're so enraged that you stick your suitcase under your bed or up in the closet or in the garage or wherever the suitcases, physical and metaphorical, go. You stuff it away. And then it lives there. And it festers. But what if, just like we maybe do spring cleaning once a year where we take everything out and then we pull our sofa out from against the wall, we take off the sofa cover, we wash them, we dust everything around and we vacuum or whatever it is, and how that allows us to experience our space in a energetically fresh vibration, that we do that with our trauma as well, where we take it out from wherever we have physically or metaphorically stuffed it, and we open up that suitcase and we take everything out. And now that maybe some time has passed and I'm not fuming as much, I can take everything out and I can, hey, I forgot where this shirt was. I forgot that I had stuffed it away. But this is really cute and it's summer now where I am. I can wear it. It just needs to be laundered. Also, what if we had sandals that were maybe not in the greatest of condition and they were squashed and moshed in there, and because we didn't want to deal with it and it was stuffed away, now they're all indented and they're yucky. We now can throw that away. Those sandals are never going to bring us joy. They have been too badly battered. Why then would we continue to hold on to them? They're not sparking joy. Marie Kondo would not say to keep them. Throw them away. So even if, on the off chance that once you've taken everything out and you've laundered it, maybe now you have another exciting trip that you can repack it. But everything has seen the light of day. Everything has been washed. Everything is fresh. Everything is light again. Maybe you've been reminded of some really cute articles of clothing that you've had. Because maybe along with the suppression of our trauma and the not wanting to deal with it, we have also suppressed great memories as well. Maybe something happened right before or right after and it was too painful and it was too close and we didn't want to deal with it, so we put it away. But hey, we can uncover and discover some great memories as well. Some great articles of clothing that we want to Marie Kondo and keep because it sparks joy. And if it doesn't, release it. Let it go. That shit's heavy. Guys, if you've been carrying your baggage around with you for a long time, you know that shit is heavy. And when we're carrying it, it makes our bodies heavy, right? Like our arms get tired, our back is like, oh, our shoulders are all slouchy and crunchy. And then like the rest of our body is just not functioning in optimum health because we're carrying old shit around with us that maybe we shouldn't even be carrying it anymore. Because here's the way energetically trauma comes through. It's sticky. And what I mean by sticky is it clings to you. But because it's energetic, you may not even be aware that it's clinging to you, but it's there. So I'm going to give you an example of how there could be a trauma, a perceived trauma, that is actually physically sticky, because that's also going to allow you to see how it's energetically sticky, okay? So let's say, for example, you were a kid that was pouring yourself some apple juice and you didn't have a good grip on the bottle and you spilled it. And one of your parents was in the room and they saw you do that and they yelled at you. And then they said, you're such a dummy. You're always messing things up. You're always spilling juice, right? So now, first of all, you have to clean up the physical juice, which has sugar in it, and which actually is sticky. And if you've stepped in it, and now you're walking around, you're going to bring it with you. But energetically, that trauma is just as sticky, and it sticks with you. And it can show up at any point in your life along the way in many different variations, such as the way in which you view yourself. I'm stupid. I'm clumsy. I always mess things up. Or I don't want to take on additional responsibilities because what if I fail? I don't want to try something new because I might mess it up. Is any of this sounding familiar? Maybe if not even for yourself, but you know someone that's exactly like that and they're always playing it safe. It's because they have a sticky trauma that is still connected to them. Take off your sticky shoes. Put down your sticky suitcases. Air out your suitcases. I'm not suggesting that you do it on social media. I'm just also saying maybe don't do it like in your closet or in your bedroom because you're ashamed of what's in there. Be okay with taking up space in your own life. Take it out into your physical or metaphorical living room. Take up space. Give yourself space to go through and process your trauma, so that you can transcend it. And not just transcend it, but alchemize it and take your hurts and make them your greatest strengths. Because here's why. First of all, when we put down our suitcase, we are giving ourselves permission to, first of all, relax. We are giving our bodies permission to start to heal themselves. In addition, you are inviting in fresh energy. You are inviting in fresh opportunities, fresh thoughts, fresh experiences, a fresh way in which you can view not only yourself, but the world. Put down your sticky suitcases. Free yourself from the energy that has held you back, whether knowingly or unknowingly. For me, the way in which I dealt with it was therapy. Great option. I also love to journal. I unpack my metaphorical suitcase in my journals and I write everything down. And I can then clearly see through a different lens my experiences. I know somebody that runs. If they have a really, really bad day or any day, they know I have got to get outside and I have got to run, because the movement is not keeping that energy, that dense, heavy energy in one place. He is moving the energy around his body. And in the action of moving it around and in creating sweat, feels as if he can sweat it out of his body and he can release it. I know somebody else that in her mind tells a story with fictional characters of her traumas, the things that have happened to her. It feels safer to not have to confront it herself. So her way in working through it and dealing with it is prescribing these things to happen to fictional characters. And in their working it out fictitiously, she is also processing and working out her own trauma. So whatever it looks like for you, because our ability to release these things, here, look at it this way. To have trauma and to endure trauma is to be human. But to release our trauma is a superpower. And taking our traumas and then allowing ourselves to be of service and help other people because of it makes us a superhero. There is no expectation that you take your trauma and you put it down and then you help other people. Because here's the thing. You're already here. You've already agreed to come back and incarnate into multiple lifetimes and to endure multiple hardships and traumas and hurts. That within itself, makes you a badass. Like, you are the most badass of badass that ever was a badass, because you are already here. But the next step of being a badass is to alchemize our hurt and releasing it, because that is a superpower. And then when we take our stories and we allow that to help and heal other people, that is a superhero. And I'm going to give you a brief example of that. There's a woman that I know, and her mom was a drug addict many, many years ago before she was born. Now, that woman could have not only just stopped being an addict and that would have been enough, but she healed the underlying trauma that led her to her addiction. And then by doing so and by releasing it and releasing the heaviness and not buying into what maybe other people would have told her about herself and her worth and how she looks to people around her, was able to take that and turn it into a gift to humanity, because she then became a drug counselor. Because who better to help you navigate something than someone who has been there before you? Who better to help you get out of the bowels of hell than someone that has been down there and has created a map and can take your hand and be a torch in the dark and help you get out yourself? Who better than someone who has been there? So releasing it is freeing. Releasing it is healing. And transmuting it changes our own personal vibration, which then can change the vibration of the people around us. Whether or not we become, for example, a drug counselor, whether or not we confide in people what we have gone through. But when people on the outside look in and they see how we have changed, they will want to know what our secret was. How did we do it? And we can tell them. I put down my motherfucking suitcases. I unpacked that shit. I laundered that shit. And then I Marie Kondo'd that shit. And I threw out any trauma or any memory or any experience that I cannot now, through the lens of being healed, see the benefit in continuing to carry around with me. So this is an invitation to Marie Kondo your trauma. And as always, until next time, stay in the high vibration.